Hi everyone, welcome back to today's video. For today, we're going to be making this super cute thank you card. And I know in my last video I mentioned I was going to be doing a lot of thank you cards. I'm not sure how many, but this is number 2, so here we are. Like I said in my last video as well, I'm going to be trying to use some stamp sets and such that I haven't used yet. And for today, to make this card, we're going to be using the Bunch of Blossoms set, which I absolutely love, and I think it's so pretty. This card is not really a fall time card, but I still think it's really gorgeous. So like I said, we're going to be utilizing the Bunch of Blossoms stamp set. There is also a punch that coordinates with this. I thought I had it sitting right next to me, but I don't. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. There is a punch that goes with this that you can get as a bundle. I'm not going to be using the punch today, but you can get that, and it's really, really pretty. We're also going to be using 4 different ink pads today. So we're going to be using Flirty Flamingo, Perfect Plum, Peekaboo Peach, and Emerald Envy. And then we're going to be using some of our linen thread. I cannot get enough of this stuff. I absolutely love it. And I have a ton of it. So that's probably has something to do with it. Oh, actually, you know what I forgot? We're going to be using our layering circles. I forgot to set them out here. We're going to be using these along with our Big Shot. Whoops, sorry about that. What? And then we're going to be using 4 different types of paper today. We're going to be using a little bit of Emerald Envy cardstock. You just need enough to cut out a little circle, so just a scrap will do. You also need a scrap of Whisper White cardstock, as well as a piece of Whisper White cardstock cut at 5 inches by 3 3/4. A piece of basic black cardstock cut at 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and then a piece of Flirty Flamingo cut at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. And that is it. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Okay, so to start off with, we're going to start our piece of Whisper White, which is really going to be the focal point of our card. And this is one of those cards where we're going to be creating our own designer series paper, essentially. If you've watched any of my videos before, you'll know that I really, really love this technique, using my stamps to make a background. I absolutely love it. I can't get enough. So to start off, I'm going to start with my Peekaboo Peach. And this is the larger of the petal stamps, and it's the one that has the most surface area. So this stamp set actually has 2-step stamping. This would be step 1, excuse me. They're not actually titled or labeled 1 and 2 like some of our other multi-step stamping sets are. And I don't even know if this is technically multi-step stamping with those. I do it because I like the look of it. But we're going to be using the big one and the small one. And like I said, we're going to be using the stamps that have the most surface area to stamp with. So starting with the larger, I'm going to take my Peekaboo Peach ink, and I'm just going to start creating these little flowers. So for the larger ones, the way that I do the flowers is I do 2 petals that are right across from each other, and then I do the same thing on the other sides. So you get a flower that looks like that. Now you can only partially see it because I did stamp off a little bit, but you get kind of the idea. We'll do a full one over here. So just like that. Turn it so you have them across from each other, and then we're going to do 2 across from each other on this side. 1 and 2. And you get a little bit better at your sizing and your placement as you go along, but I also think that sometimes, like this one looks a little wonky to me, but I think sometimes those turn out to be the best ones. So I'm going to do just a little random petal down there, and I think I'll do a random one up here. And then for this one, I'm going to pretend like I had my other petals and just do a couple more little bits right there. And I think that's good for that one. So we're going to go ahead and put away our Peekaboo Peach ink. Next, we're going to move on to our Flirty Flamingo ink. I love this color. And you know what? I haven't used this ink pad in quite some time now that I think about it, and I am so happy. I absolutely love it. I did use it in my pun intended, but before that I hadn't used it, so I'm glad that I got it out again and have been using it. So for this one, so we're using the smaller one. This one we're going to do about 5 petals, and all I'm really doing is taking it and turning it and making sure that the points all kind of line up right in the center. And that's how I get this look. I'm actually going to end up doing 6 petals. But you can do as many or as few as you want. You can make the flowers as tight or as spaced out as you want. It's really up to you. Okay, and we'll do maybe a couple more over here. And maybe another little half of part of one right here. Just like that. I think that looks good. Decent. Okay, so I'm going to set that off to the side. Next, I'm going to bring in my Emerald Envy ink pad, and we're going to be using this little leaf that comes in the set. Yes, I have this big giant block for this little tiny leaf. But we're just going to start putting in some leaves randomly in with these flowers. And really the leaves are just to fill space, because we have a lot of white space right now, and we want to kind of fill that up. I think I'm going to do another one right here just to kind of fill that little space up. And I think that's going to be enough for me for my leaves. I didn't do very many of them on my sample. I think that's perfect. Now the last step, I promise this is super easy, and this is the last step. We're going to bring in our Perfect Plum ink and this little tiny flower image. And I'm going to take this and just fill in the rest of the white space. So I don't really like to do more than 1 or 2 of these little flowers next to each other. Except for in these big open areas, you'll have to do a couple of them to really fill the space up. But for the most part, I think that should be good. And again, that's really just to fill the space up. You can do this however you want to. This is just kind of what I'm doing. And I don't really have any rhyme or reason to it. I'm just kind of going with it and seeing what happens. So now what I'm going to do is take this and set this off to the side, because we don't need it right this second. I'm going to take away my scrap paper. And I'm going to get my scrap of Whisper White. And I'm going to keep my Perfect Plum ink. I have this grading that says, "Thank you very much." And I'm going to use my Perfect Plum ink and just stamp this right onto my piece of Whisper White. Now you don't want to stamp it right up at the edge, because we are going to be cutting these out with our circle framelits. So you don't want it to be right next to the edge, because then you won't be able to cut it out. I'm going to bring in, whoa, I found my stamp, or my punch. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to bring in my Big Shot, remove my plate, grab this, and then I'm going to grab my circle framelits. And I'm going to be using this one, I think. Let me grab my sample and figure this out. Yep. So I'm going to be using the 3rd smallest. And I'm just going to take this and kind of center it on where my grading is. And I just take a little piece of washi, put it down on there. Nothing super crazy. I'm not super worried about it. It's all good. Okay. And peel this off. And now we have our little sentiment. So we're going to now grab our piece of Emerald Envy, and I'm gonna get my little scalloped framelit, and I just want to match this up and make sure this is the right size. I think this is the right size, and if not, then that's okay. It's really not a big deal. You can use whatever sizes you want. If you want to do a super big one, do a super big one. It's totally up to you. And I'm just gonna run this through. There we go. Grab this, pop that guy out, move all of this stuff out of the way. Oops. I almost put my Big Shot right on my paper. Okay, so now Now I'm just going to take my little sentiment piece and just some regular adhesive, put that on there. It didn't want to come up, it wanted to stick to my desk. And just put that little guy on there, move that off to the side. And now we really are going to start assembling our card. So I'm going to grab my linen thread and I'm just going to take it and get some off of the spool. And I'm going to take a piece of just regular old Scotch tape, put it on the back, just like so. And I'm going to do it diagonally across the card. And I think I want this down just a little bit further. And I'm going to go behind and I'm just going to make a little crisscross. And I want the crisscross to be closer to one side. I don't really care which side it's closer to, just closer to one side. Turn it over, stick the piece of tape down to secure it in place, and then snip it off from the spool. So you just want a little crisscross there, nothing super crazy. Just a little, and you can play with the placement of the twine so that you get it where you want it. It's really up to you how exactly you want to position it. That's just what I happen to like. Then we're going to take our little circle that we just cut out and flip that guy over. I grabbed 3 dimensionals, so I'm just going to use the 3 of them. Take the backing off, maybe if I can. Oh, little dimensionals, whoops. Okay, and then right where this little cross is, we're going to put our sentiment right there. Just like that. Flip this bad boy over. Put some adhesive. Now because we do have this linen thread on here, I am going to do adhesive on all 4 sides. And I'm going to grab my piece of basic black. Oops. And just center that right here. Just like so. I'm then going to take my piece of Flirty Flamingo, fold this in half, flip this guy over, just put some adhesive on there, and center it up. And that's it. We're done. Super quick, super easy. I love this card. I really, really like the background, and it may not be fall themey, but I think it's super pretty, and I think anybody would really appreciate it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to go and click the links down below to go excuse me. Don't forget to click the links down below to visit my shop and get all of these products for yourself so you can recreate this card. If you have any questions, always feel free to contact me, and I will see you in the next video.